Happy New Year, Scorpio. Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au with a brief overview of the year. It's pretty tough condensing 12 months into just a few minutes, but I'm going to try to give you what I think are the thematic punctuation points, the main eclipses and big transits of the what I consider the four main planets that are going to be doing their thing for you. And as you can see straight off, the last part of 2019, I talked about this third house of mind being occupied by so many planets here. Look at this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So of course your thinking might have been laboured, your activities might have been diverse, even scattered. And so I think when that's a key feature of the horoscope, I normally say focus. You need to identify what it is in your life that is going to give you the maximum benefit. There's a law called Pareto, the Pareto Principle. You might have heard of it, the 80-20 principle. In this case, you're throwing 80% of your time towards things that are probably only returning 20% value. So it's a matter of reversing that, finding what it is you love doing, and focusing that 20% energy so that you can get 80% return. On January 11, there's an eclipse as well. So it shows not only is your thinking changing, but your principles are changing. I think you've become a very, very different person in the last year or two. And that's going to continue to happen. On January 11, the lunar eclipse taking place here, next to this node. And this node is also going to be doing some interesting changes for you, especially around May 5th. It takes about 18 months to move through here, and most astrologers ignore this point, much to their detriment. Because this, I think, if you could eliminate all of the rest of the planets and look at this point here, it is the karmic pointer. It shows us where your main desires are. It shows us what your karmic obstructions and life lessons are. Excuse me. And therefore, as it moves, it sort of moves in the contrary manner to the rest of the planets. It's going to move into this 8th house, which is the really transformational area of your horoscope. Now it's the place of death, regeneration, transformation, psychological inquiry, shared resources. All of these things are going to be triggered. For some, it may actually bring the death of your personality, the death of your identity in a way, to give rise to the new you. And it's interesting too, in the Vedic conception of astrology, Rahu is a serpent. And just as the serpent sheds its skin every few years, this is the period when you are going to be shedding your skin. A new you is emerging. On March 22nd, just prior to that, Saturn moves out of this 3rd house into the 4th house of family. That's significant because it shows a reorientation of your energies after it crosses this very transformative Pluto, just as the year starts. So the first week of January is very, very powerful for you. And that's going to set the trend for this other trendsetter for 2020, the transit of the North Node. There are 5 other eclipses through the year, and I want to move through those reasonably quickly. June 6, Sagittarius, which is the lunar eclipse, here in your finance sector. That says it all. A lot of important developments there. The North Node, the moon for you rules this area where the North Node is, the 9th house. Now the 9th house is considered the best part of the horoscope, with the exception of the fixed signs, where the 9th ruler becomes what we call the karmic obstruction point. So the moon for Scorpio does obstruct in some ways, and that lunar eclipse here in the 2nd house means that the light of the moon is being obstructed. Therefore, there's an interplay between the moon and the sun, and I think this is going to herald the beginning of an upliftment in your finances again. I think things have improved slightly for you in the last 12 months, but this shows a definite shift again. June 21, there is a solar eclipse here in this obstructive point. You'll notice that for you, the sun is relating to your career because it rules the 10th house of profession, Leo. So there's something happening to you in 2020 that has to do with a reallocation of your attention and a redirection of your energies into the work area. This could be a dramatic shift for some of you into a whole new area of life, a whole new professional change for you. July 4, the Saturn transit back, retrograding back into this third house of thought and travel. It moves back into this area on, December 17. So that's another fairly long stay of Saturn in this third house. November 30, the eclipse, there's a July 5th eclipse in Capricorn here. So that energy is going to come back here, and it's showing us that for most of the year, the congestion of planets, the to and fro of Saturn in and out of this area, and then this eclipse on July 5th, pointing to your brain, your mechanism of thinking. Thinking is destiny, Scorpio. So it's important that you get your head around that, excuse the pun, because that's going to be the determinant of your success or failure in 2020. How you think, how you present your ideas is everything for you this year. There's two final eclipses, the November 30 lunar eclipse in Gemini, that 8th house Gemini, that's going to trigger this North Node karmic aspect. It also shows something that you desire may not be lasting. So it's important to desire things that are important or going to be significant and helpful to you. It's no point desiring things that are going to hold you back. You know, the alcoholic desires his bottle of scotch, but that's not really helping him. I think you'd agree. That final December 15 solar eclipse here, we've talked about that we talked about the lunar eclipse, but again, a reiteration of the financial efforts you're making in 2020 by the December 15 solar eclipse. And that is really shaking things up financially. Big decisions have to be made, whether it's the work you want and the money, or whether it's the peace of mind and expression of heart, which necessarily at times indicates a sacrifice of money for a higher purpose. The final two transits, we mentioned the transit, the toing and froing of Saturn here between this third and fourth house. That finally makes its way into your fourth house of family and domestics. Real estate will be very, very, very important at that time, being the real estate planet for you, co-ruling this area, the fourth house. And Jupiter also transits there on the 19th. So the 17th and the 19th, just before Christmas 2020, is a powerful shift of energies back to that family sector. I've written 3,000 words in my blog on 2020 vision for Scorpio. I hope you'll take a look at that. It's going to fill in all the holes, the gaps here that I've left for you, Scorpio, there at astrology.com.au. Drop me a line here if you've got anything you want to discuss. We can take that off the YouTube sphere into a more personal vein if you'd like, personal reading for 2020. And don't forget to subscribe. Look forward to seeing you in February, and have a safe and happy new year. Bye-bye.